is to understand solution designing in RPA implementation, how to build a uh, good solution design or a process design that is reliable, that is easy to maintain, that is scalable, and considering all the aspect of RPA process. So we are going to see that how step by step we can build any solution design with the method that we are going to see, and then we will have one example of the same process, which is confirmticket.com. So we will be building a small solution design for that. We will be doing that for first time. So I'll be doing that with you all. So we have done solution designing for, let's say, calculate client security hash, or for generate yearly report. All these processes, designing we have done in the past, but today we are going to try something new. With the confirm ticket process only, we are going to design the solution live with you all. So I am also going to try this or do this for the first time. So I hope that you all are excited for that. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me turn on my camera, and I hope that you all will also do the same. Mm, okay, not in so good mood today. I'm actually not feeling but well, but let's see how far we can drag this. Ah. So let me share my screen, and let me know once it is visible to all of you. So before beginning, I want to know from you all what you all think can be included in the solution design, or how the solution designing should take place ideally. What should be the different parts of solution designing, from where we should start and how it should work? Can anyone tell?
First, maybe system requirements, software and hardware requirements.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Then that
And
process flow that we had on our use case assigned to us, that process flow.
exactly. Then what next we do if after understanding the process?
We start designing in studio.
No, before that, like studio, designing a studio, it's in the development. When you reach studio, that is where your development starts, and not actual solution designing. Before development, you have to do all the
Last is
solution
in to
designing,
be diagram.
Specifications and requirements.
We have
specification and requirements. Yes,
to segregate the steps in process
yes, that is also right. We have to segregate
and
the processes steps. Yeah,
configuring the arguments.
yes, that is also perfect. That is also right. Absolutely right. What next? Yeah, you all are giving right answers. Keep carry on.
Sir, first we should understand the process can be automated or not.
Yeah, that is absolutely right also. And this will be done at the very beginning, before even coming to solution understanding, solution designing, because before solution designing, we have those infra setup, data collection, we have process understanding, and before that also, we have POCs, flexibility study. So whether the process is automated or not, that will be done in the feasibility study. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but that is also right answer. I mean, not wrong. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Designing a prototype.
Okay. Yeah, very close. designing a prototype. What next?
So in each step, we need to ensure whether we are getting output or we are just passing the input, like how we use arguments.
Hmm. Okay. So I think all of you have given the right answers, and these all, along with some other thing, they are required for solution designing, and then depending on all these things, the solution design happens. So the very first step in solution designing is to understand the process. Now, if you remember the implementation plan, who is the person in the RPA who understand the process at the initial level? What is the role?
BA.
Yeah.
BA,
Business analyst.
right? Yeah, business analyst is the person who connects with the customer or client or business user, and they understand the process. So till now, the process understanding and the documentation, that is PDD, is with BA. But solution designing or process solution is prepared by solution architect, right? So solution architect will connect with BA, and they will try to understand like what is the exact process and how it works, what are the different aspects of this process. So understanding a process is very important thing, and what are all parameters of process you need to understand. So in process understanding, first of all, you need to see what all applications are there. Like for example, if we take an let's say client calculate client security as. So I hope you all have done the client calculate client security as, right? Every one of you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's take an example for this presentation that so you need to understand what all are applications involved. So in this case, we have applications like Acme website and Shawan online website. So these two applications are there. And then for these, we will require Chrome, and then we might require Excel, and also we need to see what all are applications involved in the process. In similarly, in confirm ticket also, there is a website of confirmticket.com. So you need to make sure that like you need to consider that application. After that, you need to see process flow and number of steps. So how exactly your process is flowing, like as is and to me. So in this, in the calculate client security hash, we have WI5 work item, which we use to generate the hash code, and in that we do the update. So right from login till updating every work item, you need to understand the entire process flow. So understanding a process flow is again very important part. Then what is your process input? So in case of this calculate client security hash, the process input is a list of WI5 open items. In confirmticket.com, the process input is the email received from user with from and to station data, right? So that is the process input you have to identify. Then process output. What will be the process output? So in case of client security, calculate client security hash, the process output is you get the code and you update it into work item. So that is your output. In case of confirm ticket, the process output will be whether the least travel time or the most travel time, or the fare will might be there, or duration we already discussed, then the train name might be there. So all these things are the part of process output. So you must know what is the input, you must know what is the output. After that, what are the business and system exceptions? So business and system exceptions, if suppose any of the website is down, or let's say any of the selector is changed, or let's say in case of confirm ticket, you receive email but that user has not given a proper data, like from and to, they have not mentioned right code. So that is a business exception. So you do not find any station in the confirm ticket website. So that is business exception. System exceptions, again, if any selectors are changed, or let's say any, let's say if the uh, any element on the web page that is changed. So these all are the system exceptions. And you must know all these things in order to create a strong solution design. After that, we have process notification. So if we are receiving input, if we are creating output, if we are generating exceptions, so who should get all these exceptions? Who are the people? Like system exception should go to RPA team, business exception should go to business team, and all these, I mean, you must know whom to notify if there is any exception or input or output is performed. After that, you must know what is the processing time, manual versus automation. So by this, you will understand how many number of robots you require, whether you will have to design a multi-bot architecture or whether you will have to design a single bot architecture. So you will understand that. Let's say manually you are performing one thing in the one transaction in, let's say, 10 minutes, but by automation you are doing it in 1 minute. So if you are doing it in 1 minute, in 24 hours you will do approximately 1400 transaction by one robot. But if your daily target is, let's say, 5000 or 10,000, then you will need to understand that you will need more number of bots to target these number of transactions. So that way you will decide what type of architecture you require. And the last is process information. So you will need all the data. What is the URL that you are logging in? What is the username and password? What are the notification email IDs and all these things? So when you get information about all of this parameter and you document that, that is where your process understanding is completed. Understood, everyone?
Yes.
Any
Yes, sir.
questions here?
This
Any
manual
questions?
versus automation is what we did as assist in to diagram, or we'll just
Pardon?
no in the process time that we have mentioned on this. Is
Huh.
is it that assist to be diagram that we frame before building, or it is separate or different?
So adjacent to be diagram will be part of your process flow and number of steps. Process time. What is the process time? So as I mentioned, manually, if it takes 10 minutes for one transaction and bot is doing it in 1 minute. So that is your processing time. For bot, it will take only 1 minute. Understood. So here also there is some approximation, like unless and until you design the bot, you will not understand what is the exact time that one transaction will take. So it might be 1 or 2 minute here and there. Like if suppose it is taking two, we with our experience we can say that it should take 2 minutes because we have also done POC in the past for this project. And according to the POC, we will understand what is the response of application, how many number of business exceptions are there, how many rules are there, how many steps are there, clicks, screens, all these things we can see, and then we can analyze and say that okay, if manually is taking 10 minutes, by the automation it will take maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes at the max and not more than that. And when we develop and run the process, at that time the time can reduce also or time can increase also. So here we are doing only approximation. Either we have to do multi-bot architecture or we have to do single bot architecture. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other question? No? So let's move ahead
Uh,
then.
Sagar,
Yeah,
in one line, process understanding is like collecting all the required information
exactly.
before
Yes. So
before designing.
exactly. So you should have all the necessary information with you before you're starting the designing. Unless and until you have all this information, you cannot create a perfect design altogether. Even if you miss a single thing from this entire list, that will impact your design. Correct? Hello?
Yes, Sagar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Shall we move ahead?
Yes.
Yeah. So after process understanding, the next step is modularizing process and then creating a data points. Now, what is modularizing process and creating data points? So modularizing process is nothing but you have to break down your entire process into small parts wherein you can handle them individually. Let's say in case of calculate client security hash,
So,
login is one part. Uh-huh.
uh, it seems a few of them are waiting on the lobby to be allowed.
Is it? Let me check. Sarvesh is there. Okay, yeah. Keep informing me if anyone is there. Okay, fine. So what is modularizing and creating a data point? So as I mentioned, when you have a bigger process, you have to break down it into the small parts. So if we take example of calculate client security hash, login is one part. So after logging in, you have to navigate to the work item. So navigation is one part. Then you extract all data of WI5 item. So extraction is one part. Then you navigate to each work item to get name, ID, and country. That is one part. After getting name, ID, and country, you put that into show an online website. That is another part. Then you search for the code and then you get the code. And then finally coming back to the Acme website and updating that code is one part. Understood. So what we are doing actually is we are breaking the entire project into small part so that we can target them individually and combine all of that into the one framework. Now, what is the advantage? If suppose I got any error in the future, let's say in the login part, so I can go to that login workflow and change the things without going into any other flow or without going into entire project or entire process. If you design everything in one sequence or one flow chart, and if suppose some error comes, then it will be very hard to find out where is the error, and it will be very difficult, our time taking to reach out to that problem root cause and then solve it over there. If you have things in the part, then let's say you got the error in the update part of the security code, you know that which workflow you have to target and which activity you have to target. By this, your debugging or repairing of the workflow that becomes really easy. So handling of the entire project becomes really easy. So modularizing and data points. So first step in the modularizing is, as I mentioned, dividing a process into small sub processes. Then what we will do is once we define those small processes, we will create workflow for these processes, and then we will give the workflow names to them. Now there are again strategies to give the workflow name, which we are going to see further. So after defining workflow names, what we will do is we will define data requirement. Data requirement as in, if we create a workflow, we have to pass on certain arguments. And if suppose there is some data processing happening in that workflow, we will pass some data out of that workflow via arguments. So we will define data requirement, whether we need any data to process that workflow or if that workflow is generating any data. So we will define data requirements over here as well. At the end, at defining data inputs and outputs, that is the arguments. So whether you need in arguments and out arguments, or whether you need in out argument, and then defining and creating all of this. Now, all of this together will create a simple design and a development document, or it will create a simple design basically. We are going to see all these things in the short time when we take example of confirm ticket and we apply all these method to that solution design. Any questions over here?
No, Sagar.
Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, yes. So clear.
Okay. Now, workflow development and stitching together. At this point, what we do is we modularize the process and create all the data points. And after that, what we do is start developing workflows actually, and then we start stitching them together. So what is workflow development and stitching together? So as I mentioned over here, we create we break our process into small part. Now that each small part, we can either have a sequence, we can have a flow chart, or we can have a state machine. Now sequences, as in, just to extract the data and filter the data, that is a sequence, we can say. If we have a login process, we can develop that into flow chart. We open the browser, we uh, check for whether the page is loaded or not. If the page is loaded, then we enter username and password, and then we click on login. Then we check if that is invalid credentials. If it is not invalid credentials, then whether we logged in successfully or not by checking the element access. So this is entire flow that will be developed in the flow chart. Sequences, if you just want to scrap the information, filter the information, and send the filtered information out. So that is as simple as that. So that is, we can develop it into sequences. Now, what is state machine? If you have a large complex process, if you have a multiple navigations, multiple decisions, and the process has lots of uh, exceptions into that, so we can develop that into state machine. So our RE framework is built into the state machine, and it is not necessary that only a framework can be built in a state machine. You can develop some small part or workflows also out of state machine. Now, when you do all these things, you create reusable component. Reusable component, as in, let's say you create a login workflow. That login workflow now you can use anywhere in your process. If you want to log in again, or if you want to just kill the process and log in, or let's say you have created some reusable component to send an email. So to send an email, you created SMTP send email workflow, let's say, which will take in argument as a subject, it will take in argument as a body, and let's say attachment. So you just have to pass on this detail to your SMTP workflow, and you can use that workflow anywhere in your project. So that is how you create a reusable component out of this workflows. And then what you do is you integrate all of these workflows into RA framework. You invoke the workflows wherever that is needed. You add comments or annotations like what is the use of that workflow. Then you bind all the arguments and variables. So I hope that you all know what is binding arguments and variables. And then you run the entire framework together and test the process. So that is how once you create a simple design, after that you create all the workflows and you stitch them together. Any questions over here?
No, Sagar.
No.
No.
No, Sagar.
No.
So let's see a simple process, which is generate client security hash code. So we can see that this is a manual process. So we are logging into the Acme portal. We are navigating to WI5 item. Then we get the client information. Then we open the SHA-1 portal and generate a hash code. And then we update the hash code in work item. And if there is a next work item available, we again navigate to that item, get the information, and update the code. And then this will continue till you have WI5 item available. As soon as there are no WI5 item available, you can log out from the portal, and that is where your process ends. So this is a manual process basically. And what we are going to see is modularized process. Now in the modularized process, we are going to break it into small parts. We are going to break it into the phases, and we are going to break it into output, input, and everything. So first you will see from the start, we are going to read the config, then we are going to log in Acme portal, then navigating to work items, then extracting all the WI5 items. So the first the first commands or first set of actions you will see that are our process input. Now, then we have navigating to WIID. Then we have a client information extraction. Then similar to the manual process, we are going to create the hash code, update the code. If there is a next item available, we are going to navigate to that ID, and the same process continues till there are WIFI item. Once there are no WIFI item, we log out and we close all applications. So you can see that this is similar to what we discussed, modularizing the entire process. So as we discussed, once we break all these things into small parts, we give them the workflow name. So for login, you can give a workflow name as 01A Acme login. Now I'll tell you about why we are giving such prefix to the workflow name. 01A Acme login, 02A navigating to work item. Then third workflow is extracting open work items. Fourth is navigating to WIIDs. Then extracting client information is fifth workflow. Sixth workflow is generating hash code. Seventh workflow is updating that hash code. And eighth workflow is log out from Acme if there are no codes, there are no WID available. And then close the application. So you can see that the first set of actions, login, navigation, and extraction, which is the input, it is a part of initialize. That is in RE framework. So we are going to see that how these are divided into each phase. So that is part of initialize. Then getting each WIFI item, it is part of get transaction data. Then navigating to each ID, extracting information, generating code and updating code. That is part of processing the transaction. So that is these workflows will be part of your process phase in the RE framework or in any framework. And at the last, we are going to log out and close all applications. So that is these are going to be part of your end process. So this is how you modularize your entire process into small part. You assign the workflows, you define process input and output, and then you also define which phase of your framework they are going to be, or where we are going to invoke them. Understood?
Yes,
Yes.
Sagar.
Any questions? So for the calculate client security hash that you worked, do you think like this is an ideal way to develop or design the solution? This way, you would have developed or designed this in a much better way. You all agree?
I guess it if it's modified even more, because if there are complex process that involves lot of application, then it will be overwhelming for the developer to understand each decision node and build according to that.
Correct, correct. So this entire thing or this entire solution designing is done by the solution architect. Now, what your developers will do and how it will be easy for them. So let's say we have an initialized part and we have total 8 workflows. So what we can do is we can divide the 8 workflows amongst, let's say, 3 or 4 developers. Let's say you have 3 developers. So for one developer, we can assign all the initialized workflows wherein we are going to log in, navigate and extract the data. Then we can assign some workflows of the process. Let's say navigation, extraction, and generation of the hash code. We can assign it to one developer, and then updating the code and Acme logout. We can assign it to the third developer so that they all will have a separate workflows to develop and not the entire project. So they will not have a bigger, they will not like as you mentioned, they will not be overwhelmed with the entire project. So they have to focus on their own part only. Understood?
Yes, Sagar.
Yes.
Yeah, understood.
So, So there can be more number of workflows. There can be more number of steps. I know that we have built the processes wherein we were having more than 70 workflows collectively, like for the entire process. But then we divide them amongst our team. They test it individually, develop it individually, and then we combine all of them together. And we follow all the standards and all the best practices. So while we combine them, while we bind the arguments and everything, there are less challenges, uh, rather than we directly start development and anyone start developing anything from their side. So that is it from the theoretical part of it. Like, we understood here that okay, for any strong solution designing, the the most important part is understanding your process. Once you understand the process, you have to modularize process and create all the data points. Once you create the data points and modularize the process, you start then and then only you start the development, and then you create reusable components, and then in one framework you stitch all these together, and then you run and test everything. And for example, we have seen generate client security hash code. We have seen how we have modularized, from just few steps or the entire process to a modularized process. You will understand this in a much better way when we are going to do it practically. So let's start with practicals, I believe, and how we are going to start it. So first of all, let's consider this process of confirm ticket that we all have developed, right? You all have worked on this process, right? Confirm ticket.
Yes, Sagar.
Yes.
Everyone
Yes.
has worked on this confirm ticket, right? So
Yes.
how this process works? So first of all, what we do is first check we first check if we have input available. We check if the email are available in the mailbox. If the email are available, and if all the email are valid, then what we do is we read those email. We create a transaction data. We create, let's say, an Excel file with all from and to, and then what we do is we log into the confirm ticket booking, confirmticket.com. That is the website. We log in over here, or let's say we can log in also. It's not an issue. Or we just come to this confirmticket.com. We add all the details. Let's say we add data from first request, and then we search it, and then we send them what is the least travel time and what is the highest travel time with the train name and the departure and arrival and all and all. So all these details we share with them, and after all the things are done, like all the requests are done, we close the browser or we log out from the browser, and that is where we complete the entire process. So let me do this thing. uh, uh, okay. um, Generate OTP, I think. Mm, so let's skip the login part, but let's have this opening the confirm ticket and then searching the details, and after that sending the information. So that is the part we are going to have. Okay, everyone understood the process?
Yes.
Yes, Sagar.
Okay, so we are going to build a small framework out of this, and we are going to build it very easily. I mean, we are not going to make it very complex. You should understand how it works or what is the phenomenon out of it. Okay. So first of all, we understood the process. What is the process? Read email. After reading email, create the transaction data, then open the confirmticket.com and search for the required criteria, then extract the information and filter the information. And the last one is to send the data to the requester. And after that, we close all the applications or log out from the confirmticket.com. Clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me take a sip of water, and then we will come back. Okay, you all can have also You can all take some 5 minutes break and come back. Okay?
Yeah, sure, Sagar.
Yeah. Hello, are you all back?
Yes, Sagar.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me share my screen again. All right, so we are going to start with simple Excel, and we are going to create a step-by-step small solution designing with all the data points and the data input and output, everything. So first of all, let's say we assign serial number, and then we will say what is the sub process. Okay, so we will start from here, sub process. We will start from giving the serial number and sub process, and then we will take it forward from here. So first sub process. What is the sub process? First sub process, let's say open confirm ticket website. Okay, ticket website. Okay, this is our first step, right? First sub process, correct? Everyone agree?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to give this underscores over here. We are going to use them later. Okay. So this is our first step. What is the next, or what is we missed one thing over here. Before opening, we have to do something. What is that? It will be second one. What is the first one?
Reading email.
Reading email, right? Read email inputs. That is the first one, right? Actually, read email inputs. And then if the inputs are available, then open confirm ticket website, right? What is the third one? What what will be the third step?
Enter the
Entering
source and
SQL.
destination.
Enter source and destination. So we can say enter um, search data or search criteria. Enter search criteria, right? Oh my God, we are so much habitual to creating variable names. I start giving underscore everywhere. Okay, enter search criteria. Then what will be the next? After searching it, what will happen?
Get data.
Get the
Extraction.
search data. Extraction, right? Extract and filter, right? Extract and filter, right?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Extract and filter, uh, let's say train data, right? And after extracting and filtering, what will be the next step or next phase or sub process?
Sending an email.
Right? Send uh, output to user, correct? Then what will be the last one?
Closing the applications.
Close the application, right? Right? Close, confirm, ticket, website. Right? Agree? Everyone agree here? These
Yes,
Yes.
are
sir.
the
Yeah.
different steps or processes we are going to have. All right. Um, before, let's say if we enter a search criteria, if we extract and filter train data, then we send the output to user and close the website. But let's say if we search the data, if we extract, now we have to search data for the next input. Then what we have to do? We have to go back as well, right? We have to go back to the original page also, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So what we will do is before searching any data, before searching any data, what we will do is we will add one more step over here just to go back to the home. So we will say navigate to home or navigate to home page. So what we will do over here is we will navigate to home page and then we will search the criteria so that when we search for the next input, first of all, we will go to the home and then we will start searching and then filtering and then sending the output to the user. And then we will repeat this process again for all the user inputs, right? Everyone agree on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have all the sub processes assigned over here. Now, for each process, we will give some workflow name. Now, these processes will make workflows, workflow names. Can anyone tell me why we create workflow for each process over here or each sub process? What is
At the end, we
the
can combine.
yes,
At the
at the
end, we
end
can
we
combine.
can combine. Exactly. So at the end we can combine. What is the other advantage of this type of designing?
It will be easy for the
Invoking,
future references and debugging.
Exactly. That is also one thing. What other?
invoking that workflow event framework wherever required.
Exactly. So there are multiple advantages. Like the most,
Reusability.
yes. So the biggest advantage is because you break your process into sub processes and you develop them as a workflows. You can use that particular workflow anywhere in your project later on. That is one, which means that you are creating reusable component. Second is if you get any error, you can directly go to that particular workflow and solve it rather than finding it into a huge process. That is one. Third one is if you want to add something in between, let's say after searching the criteria, you have one more page, so you can add that in between. You don't have to play around or change anything in the existing workflow. You can add something in between. uh, so there are lot many advantages, and also your code becomes very much readable, and you give handover to any person in future. Let's say you move from one project to other project and you give this to any new joinee or give to the support engineer. They can understand the code very well, but if you develop everything into one sequence or one flow chart, they will not understand it, right? Agree on this?
Yes, sir.
Now, to give the workflow names, we have a special, like this is what I follow and this is what I put in, as per my experience. So how we give the workflow name, what we do is we give them a serial number followed by alphabet, which is alpha numeric combination. And then we add the process name like this. 01A read email inputs, and then for the next one it will be 02A confirm ticket website, then it will be 03A navigate to homepage, 04A 5A 6A 7A. Can anyone tell me what will be the advantage of this?
Easily readable.
Easily readable, yes. One other.
So if any exceptions encounter, we can
Hmm. Okay.
escalate it.
What other?
So
Easy
that
to
while we
understand
are
the
when we are
workflow.
Sorry,
we can understand
Easy
the
to
workflow
understand the
easily.
workflow.
we can understand the flow easily. That is also right. And what else? Do you see the sequence over here? So the main advantage is if you open RE framework or if you open any project in UiPath Studio and you create workflow or you create file of these names, then you have option to sort it by name or you have option to sort it by date time modified or date time created. But in all those cases, you will never find the sequence of execution, like what is executing first, what is executing after that, what is executing after that. So with this method, all of your workflow files, they will remain in one sequence. Like my first workflow that will work or that will be executed is reading email inputs, then second will be opening the website, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. My file in the folder, the workflow files, or in the project also, they will be in a sequence. Understood? You got it, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will show you. We will see how that affects the sequence. And then the other advantage is, let's say, after navigating to home page to search the criteria, after 2 3 months or 6 months, there is one more step added. So in that case, what we can do is we can simply move this ahead. Like, we will create one more file, let's say navigating to xyz page, or navigating to xyz, or whatever, abc page. So what I can do is I can have that workflow created, and since it is executing after navigate to home page, I can say that this will be my 03b navigate to abc page. You understood? So by this, your execution order is not disturbed. By this, you can create execution order of your files. And you can add 03A, 03B, 03C, D, E, F, up to Z. You can add more number of workflows in between any two workflows. Understood? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You understood why we are following this kind of a naming structure? Now, this is as per our experience. This is as per my experience that we follow. If you have some other options, which are better from this, you can definitely follow that. We are always in a search of best practices to follow. So this is one of the best practice that I follow individually in all of the projects that I do. Okay, so what we have done, first step, we have, if we go back to the modularizing process and data points. So what we have done with dividing a process into sub process, and second, defining workflow names. These two are done. What is the third one? Defining data requirement. Now, what is the data requirement? Whether your process or this workflow requires any data, or whether your workflow is creating any data. Understood? Data requirement.
Yes, sir.
Is it, are you people with me, or it's going above your head? You all can turn on your cameras. Balaji, what do you think? Jitendra, Anjana, Shashikant, Rajneesh, what do you all think? Like, are you all able to understand how we are building this, or is it difficult for everyone to understand? Is it easy?
Easy.
Yes, of course. Easy.
Yes, sir, it's easy.
It's easy, right? You all are with me, right? Like, it's not going above your head, right?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So let's go ahead then. Now we created a process, sub processes. Now we given workflow names. Now we will mention if there is any data required for this to process. For example, for reading email inputs, do we need any data?
Yep.
Yes. What data do we need?
The credentials.
The credentials, right?
Source and destination.
Hmm.
Yeah, credential and source and destination.
Credentials. No, just to read email, what all we need, we will need credentials. Let's say I mention data required, yes, and in the bracket, I will mention what data. So I will need credentials. I will need, let's say, port. Then I will need server
So,
address, right? Correct? All these things, credential, username, password, port, server address. We will also need the filter criteria, correct? All these things we will need, right? You
Yes,
all
sir.
agree with me? Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Now, open confirm ticket website. Do we require any data?
URI.
Yes, we need URL, right? let's say website URL. That is what we need. We don't need anything else. Navigating to home page. Do we need any data?
No.
No, it's just the home page that we are going to. Search criteria. Do we need any data?
Yes. From
Yes. What data we need?
From and to value from the mail.
Yes. From and to this value we will need, right? Then extracting and filtering the train data. Do we need any data over here?
for extraction, we don't need any data.
No, sir.
No, no data we need, right? There's nothing required. Sending output to the user. Do we need any data?
The generated Excel file.
Yes. Email
Yes.
ID.
Obviously, duration.
Exactly. So let's say user email we will need, then data we will need, right? Output data, correct? Output data we will need output data, and then here also we will need port, server address, and credentials, right? For SMTP, correct?
Yes,
You all agree
Yes.
with me?
And Sagar,
And
expected files also. Expected file.
huh, we can also say attachment file. Correct? We all need all this information here, correct? Now closing the confirm ticket, do we need any data?
No.
No, right? It does not require any data. So what we have done is we have defined all the data requirement, what all information is required for this workflow to process. Now the next question is any data generated over here? Is there any data generated? We can see if any data is generated. Is there any data generated over here?
Yes.
Yes. What is the data generated?
Filtered inputs.
the filtered
We
mail
can
message.
say, yeah,
To
we
and
can
from.
say
Yes. To and
to
from.
and from. So
List
list of from and to request, correct? We will get all the request, correct?
Yes.
Like we will get a from, we will get to, and we will also get email ID from whom we have received that data, correct? So we can
Yes.
reply back, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that is one. Then opening the confirm ticket, will it create or generate any data?
No.
No, right? It will not create any data. Navigating to home page, it will
No.
not create any data, right? Then entering the search criteria, no, it will not create any data. Now extracting and filtering train data, will it create or generate any data?
Yes.
Yes, right? What data it will create?
Extraction data, output data.
data.
Sorry?
Data type.
Extracted
What
data
it will
table.
be? Yes, it can be, we can say extracted data table. We can say like that, or we can say user required information. Like if let's say user wants only least travel time or the highest travel time details, only that, or let's say entire table or anything. So this kind of a data will be generated over here, right? Now sending output to the user, uh, will it generate any data?
No.
No, right? It does not. And then finally closing. This also not generates any data. Everyone is with me till here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Everyone understood this? Simple, right? We are asking simple questions to the sub processes that we have created. We are not, doing anything out of the world or any rocket science is there. We are just, asking simple questions and getting answers for that. Now we know what is the data required. We know what is the data generated. So what do you all think? Data generated and data required. What is it exactly? What you think, we can use this for?
For binding the arguments,
Yes,
creating
that
arguments.
is creating arguments, right? That is simple.
Yes.
So data required is in argument and data generated is out argument, right?
Yes, sir.
Everyone understood? Data required, that means it will require data from outside to process that workflow, correct? Everyone agrees
Yeah, correct.
on that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes.
data generated is that workflow will generate some data and that will be taken by some other workflow. For example, whatever extracted data table is generated by filtering in the workflow 5A, this will be used by 6A, correct? Right?
Correct, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whatever data is generated by 01A, that is reading the email, that will be used by search criteria, correct? So what is happening is we are passing on data from one workflow to other workflow with the help of arguments. And so what we are going to do, we are simply going to create arguments over here. So we are saying in arguments for data required, and then we are saying out argument for data generated. Understood? Simple. So what all in arguments require over here? We can say credentials, port, address, filter criteria. All of this as in argument. So you can give this as a in argument also, or you can use assets also to get the credentials. So credentials you can use asset, but for port, server address, and filter criteria you can give in arguments, right? So for
Yes,
credentials,
sir.
let's say we are going to use asset, orchestrator asset, but for in arguments, let's say port. So port will be in underscore port, that is our one argument. Then in underscore server address, that is another argument. And then in underscore filter criteria. Why I am mentioning in underscore? Can anyone tell me?
Yeah, because they all are in argument.
They all are in argument. Similarly, in underscore website URL, that is your in argument. Here there is no argument. And in the search criteria, we need arguments like in underscore from and in underscore to. These are two arguments we require. Extracting and filtering information, we don't need any argument. Sending the output to the user, yes, we require arguments. We need user email, right? So let's say in underscore user email, that is one argument we will be giving in. Then output data. So in the output data, we can say from we can say least travel time or the highest travel time or whatever data is we are going to mention in the email body. So that we are going to mention. So in output data, then port and server, then we are going to mention credentials we can take from asset, and then in underscore attachment file. Now one thing we missed is this will after entering the search criteria and after filtering them, it will also generate what I can say extraction file or attachment file. So we are going to mention that into the out argument, which will be used as in while sending the output to the user. Everyone is with me on this? Everyone understanding what we are doing over here?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, fine. Now we are going to mention out argument. So out argument, a list of from and to requests after reading the email. Let's say we are going to have let's say an Excel file, or let's say we are going to add all of that into the you can say queue items. So after getting all the request, we can we can set the data table, or we can add them into the queue items, or we can access that email one by one. So it depends on us how we want to deal with the generated data, or how we want to access that data. So let's say what we are going to do is whatever details we are going to have from all the emails, we are going to add those into the queue, orchestrator queue. So I will not mention any out argument over here. What we will do is we will add all of that into orchestrator queue. Understood why we are doing this, everyone?
Yes, Sagar.
Because let's say for we have 10 email, and from 10 email we receive 10 requests. So what we will do, we will create orchestrator queue, and we will create 10 transaction items, so we can read them one by one and we can do the processing. So when we develop this, you will understand what exactly I'm talking about. So here there will be no out argument. Again, all of this doesn't have any out argument. Here we will have one out argument, that is attachment file. One is attachment file and the other is out user required information. And here there are no out arguments, and here also there are no out arguments. Everyone understood this?
Yes.
Yes.
Any challenges? Anything that you people want me to revise, or tell you people again that you have not understood?
No, it's
Any,
clear, sir.
anything? It's clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Easy to understand.
Let me adjust them so that you all can see that in the one screen. And now what we are going to do is we are going to develop all these things in a really quick time, and you all have to do this post this session. Okay. So I'm going to develop this in front of you all. We have around 45 minutes. So I take new RE framework. This is the process name I am giving. So you will see that how easy is developing all these things once you have the design ready. Opening the main workflow. So what we are going to do is we are not going to touch anything in the RE framework now. But what simply we are going to do is we are going to create all the workflows that we have designed or that we have prepared. Let me give some details over here. Yes. Yeah. Tell
For
me.
me, still Excel is visible.
Excel is visible only.
Goes to the website confirm ticket. Should I have to type and send your?
Is it visible for you all now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Sagar, now
So
it's
now I'm going back to the Excel. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm just copying the workflow name, going back to UiPath, and I'm going to create all of these workflows. New sequence, give the workflow name, and you can say create. Okay, read user input emails. So what we do over here is We also create arguments. What arguments do we have over here is port, server address, and filter criteria. So I'm going to copy them and I'm going to create all the arguments. In port, let's say that is a string, then server address, and we have a filter criteria. Creating all these arguments. So arguments I have created. Now, what I have to do, is there any out argument? We have to check that as well. Okay, no, there are no out arguments actually, but what we are going to do is we are going to add all the data into orchestrator queue. So let's say we, let me copy my read email from the previous process. You all are understanding, right, what we are doing over here?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just going to copy this entire thing into that particular workflow. Hmm. Strange why it's not copying. Okay, no problem. Let's have that. I think we do not have that package. So I'm installing that package over here. Now let's try to copy. Okay, now we got this. And then we have some validate mail count. So get credentials, username and passwords. I have to create these variables. So now there is one more task for you. When we create a design or solution design, do you think we should also create variables over there? What do you guys think?
Uh, I feel it's a no because it depends on developer, the naming conventions and other things change. Plus also we cannot exactly determine which way these many variables are required for this particular workflow to be done.
Correct. So you can do that at initial level. You can do that. You can create a workflow list. But again, there might be some challenges while creating variables. Some might be getting added or some might get removed as well. So see, what I'm doing over here is in the credentials, I created password and username variable. And in the IMAP mail message, I mentioned the in arguments, basically port, which we converted into number, server address, and after that we also use the filter criteria. So all of this information we have taken in the form of in arguments. Everyone understood this, how we use those arguments? And in the email count again, now we have email body, city, city2, and everything. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to delete all these things from here, opening the browser, data scraping, output file and all. We are going to remove all that because these are not part of this process as of now, or this sub process. In this sub process, we are only going to read the email, and for each email we are going to extract all this information. So email body, city from, and city2. So we are going to have all this information, and we will also have one more information that we will require is email sender. We will require this detail so that we can reply to that particular person. Now here, if you see, the scope is set to the body, we will set it to the highest. So again, email sender, I will assign one variable for email sender. And we can mention email sender is equal to email dot sender dot to string. So this is the email sender we are going to get. And then once we have all this detail, we are going to add all of that into queue. Add to queue. Add a queue item. Now here we have to provide a queue name, and then all the information that we want to add it into queue. So let me do one thing. Let me open my UiPath. You have done all these things into your foundation and advanced course, right?
Yes.
So it's not new for you, right? Is there anyone who thinks that this is entirely new for him or her and they do not know how it's done? Anyone? Guys? See, if you feel that you are not understanding anything, or this is out of your what I can say, it's not reachable, then do let me know. We can repeat that. So queues, we have couple of queues over here. So I will add one more queue, and I will give that as a name as ticket guidance bot or ticket guidance process. Description, I will add the same. Then all the other things are not required. Unique references and all, it's also fine. I think we can create it directly. And then ticket guidance process. This is the queue name. So I'm going to add my queue name over here. Now, all this information also, queue name and credential asset name, they all also can come from arguments. They all can also come from your config sheet. So I will leave that up to you all how you want to handle that. So add a queue item and item information. We are going to mention first of all from, then that will be your str city from, then two, it will be your city two, and then we will need a sender. Everyone is with me on this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
So we created our first workflow. We created workflow to read all the email and then add all the email information data to the queue item. That is one. Now it's done and dusted. We'll take second sequence. What is the second sequence or second sub process? It is to open the confirm ticket website. So I copy the workflow name. See, I don't have to think on what will be my workflow name. Now arguments is okay, this requires URL only. So in the in argument, I will create URL. We don't need anything else. And then I will use open browser. Open browser. Here we will have a in URL. Browser type will be Chrome. And then what I will do is I'll maximize it. Maximize the window. Simple. Open browser is done. Everyone understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This is done. Is there any out argument for this? No. Third one is
No.
navigating to the home page. So I will create my third sequence, navigate to the home page. Now here what I will do is I have already open browser. So this is my browser and navigating to home page. So I'll be clicking on, let's say, this confirmticket.com logo. So even if I am in the search page, if I click on confirmticket.com, it will take me back to the home page. So what I will do is, first of all, I will use attach browser because my browser is already open and I will indicate the browser and I will say attach browser confirm ticket website. And in the selector, I will do small change that from the title, I will remove, let's say, the entire part which is dynamic and I'll replace that with the wildcard so that uh, even though if I change the, let's say I change from that page to this page, I can still able to validate this. Everyone understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Sagar.
Then what we are going to do, we are going to click on that button or logo. So indicate the element. Let's say I'm indicating this confirm ticket. So click, say home page. We will check the selector. It says image. Is it a good selector, guys? Is it a good selector? Do we need any modifications over here?
I think we should remove that tag unselected.
Correct.
Yeah,
So we have
image is not reliable. We
correct.
need
So what we
a
are going
name
to do
or
is
something.
exactly. So we are going to add a name over here, and we can also add a parent class over here which says logo. So that is also one of the very important parameters. So when we validate this now, highlight it is available. If I click on this, and if I validate this again, it is still highlighting. So now our selector is very robust and it will not it will be robust and reliable for entire process. So navigating to the home page, that is also done. Now fourth workflow. What is the fourth workflow? uh, Fourth workflow is enter the search criteria. See, now we are developing something very easily. We are not spending a time on how the design should be, what workflow I need to do, what name I need to give, what argument I have to create. We are not spending time on that, right? We are just doing the development, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Is it more better approach?
Yes.
It is, right? It is
Yes.
far better approach than directly starting the development. Again, attach the browser, indicate the browser. This is the browser. Again, I will change something over here. After confirm ticket, whatever is there, I'm going to remove that. And okay. Now what we have to do, we have to use type into, right? Type into how much, where we want to type from to and click on search. That is how we are going to search, right? So let me do this. Let me copy it from the previous process so that It will save some time for us. Now, what all you have to do is you have to build this um, entire solution designing with this process in one day. Will you all able to do that in one day?
Yes, Sagar.
It is easy, right?
Yes.
Not so difficult. So from, then to, and then click on search. I'm just going to copy all these things, put it over here. So the only thing is, instead of this, we have to mention our arguments, city to, from and to. That's it. Click city to and click search. So we are done with the searching of workflow. Let's highlight them once. Okay, that is good. So it's working fine. Let me close this. Now close. Search criteria is done. Argument is done. Is there any out argument? No, there is no out argument. Okay. Now extract and filter the train data. So I will create a second another workflow, which is extract and filter the data. Now, if you see in the project, you will see the file are created in that sequence. Read email, open website, navigate to homepage, enter criteria, and extract filter data. That is why we give these name 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A. If we rename them without these, then E will be on top. Then after that, other E will be on top because it will be sorted by its name. Correct? You all agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
Sagar.
Okay. Yes. So now here what we have, after we click on search, we have to scrap the data, then we have to filter the data, and then we have to send the data out. So first of all, let's create all the argument, extract the data and all. So here we are going to have out attachment file. So that out argument I have to create. Now it just you need to give a good concentration on direction. So what happens generally is you create argument, but you forget to change the direction because you are in a flow and you mention in everywhere. Lot of people make that mistake. Out user required information. So attachment file and user information, that is the data we are sending out from this. Is there anything else we are sending out, guys? I think I have to open that workflow again. Anything we are missing over here?
No, Sagar.
Okay, any questions till now? Any questions,
No
anything that
question.
you want to
No.
discuss? Are you all able to understand?
Yes.
Is it easy, guys? What do you think? Hmm?
It is easy.
What do you think? Is it easy, or rather than easy, I will say, like, is the method simplified? Like, what you are getting the process, like, okay, this is what I have to do first, this is what I have to do second, and this is what I have to do after that. So what we are doing is we are understanding the
Math.
concept of implementation. Correct? So
Yes, Sagar.
even though there is a small implementation or a large implementation, you will always follow the same method. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So you are learning concept over here, and then you can implement this concept anywhere in any process in any part of the world. So extracting the data, I'm creating all these variables. So output file name, again, output file name, this is the out argument we need, attachment file path, then write to the output file. Okay. and then sort the data table, store it into extract data table, and then we have the duration. Uh, let's say we create that variable, control Z, out duration. We have a duration, and then we have a train name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign one variable, assign, let's say, out user required information. So what user information they want? They want user information as train name. They want train name plus, let's say we add duration. Everyone understood this? So what we
Yes.
are sending out, we are sending out file and we are sending out the details, train name and the train travel duration. Everyone understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
understood.
sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
understood. Here also I will do one change. I will just remove this selector from here and add a wildcard and close this one. And then the next sequence. See, why I am using sequence now is because we are having a straightforward processes and there are no decision makings in between. If suppose we have a longer decision makings and lot many navigations in the single process, then we will use flowchart. And if suppose we have an even higher number of complexity, we will use state machine. Understood? So
Yes.
for sending the output, what we will need? User email output data. So I will just take the arguments one by one and I'll create them. So first one is user email. The second one is the output data that we will need, correct? Let me bring them side to side. Uh, did I make any mistake? Okay. Uh, I think I created it that argument over other inside that other project. I think I created it over here. So user email, output data, port and server address we need. Port in underscore server address. Then what else do we need? Need attachment file path. And any out arguments? No, we need only these arguments. So what we are going to do now, we are going to send that email. So I will simply use this SMTP mail message and mention it over here. Now, here in the body, we have to use those details. The duration is so and so. So instead of this, what I will do is I will use in output data. Okay. And subject, okay, reply to, we are not going to reply. So instead of reply, we can say to, in the to, we will use user email. Okay. In user email and username and password I have to create. Port, we are passing the port from outside. So port, I need to convert that into integer. So C int to convert convert that to integer, and then server in server address. Is there anything we left? We have two. We have uh, email body also. Second, output file attachments, right? We have to change the attachments. So attachment is not this now. The attachment will be attachment file. All good? Everyone understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And subject. What will be the subject? What do you think, guys? What will be the subject?
Response
Guidance
of your
box
queries.
solutions. We can say that response to ticket queries, right?
Yep.
Correct? Ticket queries. So that is how we are going to send the mail. Now we have created all of these workflows and we have to bind them together. Correct? Everyone agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now everyone has to tell me where I should invoke all these workflows. Okay, one thing we have missed, I think. We have not created this one. Close the confirm ticket. So let's create that, right? Last one is left. So what we will do is we will use the attached browser again, indicate the browser, this browser, and we will close that tab. We are not going to kill it. Okay. We kill it, all the Chrome will be closed. Entire Chrome will be killed. We are going to use that. This will close the tab. It was like a soft close. Everyone understood this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
adding all the develop workflows into framework. Now everyone has to tell me where I should invoke these workflows. So I will add one more column over here, which will say RE framework phase, where I should invoke the workflows. So reading email, where I should add this in initialize, get transaction data, process, end process, where I should add this.
Yes, sir. In the initialization phase.
Initialize.
Initialization. Everyone agrees on that?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes.
Initialize, right? Initialize. Okay. Opening confirm ticket website, where I should add this.
Initialize.
Initialize.
Like,
Initialize.
Initialization.
Okay. Initialize. Navigating to home page.
Same initialize.
Are you sure? Think on it. So let's say in the initialize, we do the navigation to home page. And then in the process, we are going to search from and to for, let's say, one
Yeah.
email. After we come back, and if your navigation is in the initialize, will that work? Will this
No,
work? No. So
no,
where
no,
we have to
because
add
the
this?
next
the
the
get
process.
Get transactions.
No,
The
not in the
process
get
transaction.
transaction.
Process
Yes,
transaction.
see,
Process.
process. We have to add this in the process. Entering the search criteria,
Process.
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 Extracting and filtering trend data, process. And sending output, process. And the last one is where we will be adding the close confirm ticket,
Kill
End
all
state.
applications.
And process.
end process, right? Correct. So
Yes.
let's do that. First of all, let's add all the reading email inputs and open confirm ticket in the initialize. Okay. So let's do some coloring over here, or let me just merge them into the center. Initialize, process, and end process. What will be there in the get transaction data? Can anyone tell me?
Orchestrated linear.
Yes, exactly. So we are going to read that from the orchestrator. So we don't have to specify that differently. End process. So initialize these two, we have to add that add them into initialize. So I go into initialize and I go to initialize application. What? Seriously? 1 second, guys. Something. Oh my God. Hmm. So what has happened actually, this is something, uh, as a part of framework, uh, we have been doing internally that if the maximum number of system exceptions are executed, then you should throw an exception and go to end process. And similarly, in the process transaction also we have implemented that. So it's uh, it's surprising to see that UiPath also implemented at the framework level. Good. Okay. So in the initialization, we are going to add our email inputs, read email input, and open the confirm ticket website. So now what you can do is there are two options. Either you can add that inside opening applications directly over here, or you can add it below also. So it's all up to you where you want to add. I will say ideally you can add that into initialize application. So after opening applications, you can add this one over here. This will require some inputs, port, server address, and filter criteria. Now, either you can pass values from config or you can hard code the values. So what we can do is, as of now, I am going to pass on all the values, just plain values, hard coded values, but it will be assignment for you people to pass the values from config over here. Will that be possible for every one of you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
Sagar.
Yes.
What is the port number for IMAP? Can anyone tell me? 464
993.
993. Okay. Server address IMAP dot
Gmail.com.
gmail.com, and the filter criteria is subject.
Equal to.
Is correct. Hmm. Equal to, is it equal to?
So I'm
Looks
using
like this.
like a large bracket in subject equal to and single quote criteria and close.
Ticket guidance. What? That is the subject line we have used, right?
Yes. Ticket guidance for input.
Input. Input is there also, right?
Yes.
Okay. So values, open ticket URL. I'll pass on the URL from here, confirmticket.com. And you have to pass all of these values from config file. We are done with this. Initialize all applications are done. Now we go to get transaction data and we have to pass on the queue name. So get transaction item and the orchestrator queue name, we can pass it from config also. So I will add my queue name in the config. So go back to the UI path. This is my queue name. I'm going to add it over here. This is my queue name, queue folder and all. We don't have to add that. Rest of the things you can change if you want, like you can change the process name, business process name. Where is the business process name? Have they removed it? I think they have removed it. Okay. So queue name is done. Transaction item is coming out from here. Okay. So let's go back in the process. And now we open the process. So all the process workflows we will add over here. Navigation, searching, extracting, and sending output. Correct? All are with me? So navigation, searching, extraction, and sending the output. So search criteria from and to. So whatever transaction item we are getting, this is our transaction item, which is nothing but the queue item. So from this transaction item dot specific content, we can mention all the data like from dot to string. You understood this? This is how you read the value from queue item. You all know this, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the transaction item is getting in, then attachment file and user required information. Now same information we are passing it to the next workflow. So to come to bind this to workflow, we have to create variable. So we'll create variable as attachment file and user required information. You understood this binding? So what will happen now? When it comes out from here, it will be stored in these variables. Okay. And when you pass that value in, it will go from here. From this variable, whatever data is stored inside this variable. Everyone got this? How we are binding the arguments?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, user email, we are again taking it from queue. So that is our specific content. We have mentioned sender over there, right? Dot to string port. The port is 465, right, guys? I think. What is the port?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Correct.
465.
Yes, sir.
All the values are done. And okay, everything is done. And the last one which is remaining, That is to close all applications. So close all applications, we will add the closing all to this. It does not require any data. Now I want two, two, three people from you to send some email to me. Can you all send me? Do you know all the format?
Yes, okay. I have sent.
Do you know? You have sent? When
Yes,
have you sent?
right now.
Right now?
Yes.
Can anyone else send me? Jitendra, Anjana, anyone from you people? Do not send it to Wonderbot. Send it to Gmail because we are using Gmail, right?
Okay.
Sorry?
Okay. I think I have sent to Wonderbox.
Yeah. Send to Gmail. Send to Gmail. Quick. We have to run and test this, right? I got from Anjana.
Sagar, can I have your Gmail ID?
Me dot Sagar Sable @gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, send
I
Sagar.
got from
Yeah.
I got from Jitendra also. Okay, so we have two of them, right? So let's run this. I'm going to run this in the debug mode. I got from Rajnish also. So let's run this in the debug mode and let's check if our queue is getting populated, and from queue whether we are getting all the data or not. Okay. So is it closed? Okay, yeah, that is closed. Okay, killing all processes. Let me, okay, some issue is there. Let me close this. That's the issue. What's the issue over here? Is it a port, guys? imap.gmail.com. Subject is fine. User ID is fine. But did I delete my password? I'm not sure. What do you guys think can be the issue? Hmm?
We
Can
missed
anyone
on
help?
the port, sir. We missed the
Huh?
port number, sir. 913. Port number 913. 993.
993 we have given, no? In the initialize, inside initialize all settings, we have given the port. Read all email. Port is 993, right?
Mm,
Sir, subject name, we can say.
No, I think it's with the, it's not, 1 second. It's not with the, What is there? Let me try one more time. Shantini, you have sent me email and the subject is just ticket. So the subject should be ticket guidance spot input.
Okay, sir, I'll change. I'll change now.
Yeah.
Sir, whether the
Uh,
password variable is correct because it is SSTR, whether it is correct, the variable declaration.
yeah, that is correct. Get credential, SSTR password, STR
Oh,
username.
okay, sir.
And here also we are passing SSTR password and username. It is about the port, I think. Can you all guys check the port once?
I guess it's 995. That's sorry,
It's
it's
993 only.
991.
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
Port is correct.
pardon? It is
Uh,
993
in
only.
in secure connection under options, you can try like start with TLS or
Can we check the IMAP is enabled in your account?
IMAP is enabled where?
Sir, can you check is
In your
143
Gmail
port
account?
number?
Sorry,
Port number 143. Can we check?
it's 993 only. That is right because it was working on my system some time back, right?
Yes, sir, but I am showing here two port. 143 is also doing by default.
Try with none. This might be because of Wonderbot's machine that I'm using. That can be the issue. What is the other port? 143. I don't think imap.gmail.com. Okay. Do we have any duplicate variables? No. Uh, any other option, guys? The port is right. It should be 993. Hmm.
Can we check without filter expression?
Is it use Gmail? Uh, Let me check with this, guys.
Or you can disable secure connection to none.
In where is that?
Under options.
Okay.
Sir, I have read it's your firewall problem or a antivirus problem. They are not allowed
Yeah,
to connect
possible.
with the server.
Possible. That is also possible. Let's try with this now because I have taken a I have taken a new activity altogether. So let's try with this now. I think it's because of firewall only. Hmm.
Yes, sir. At the forum, they are giving solution like to disable your firewall or disable your antivirus.
Well, that's not possible. That's not possible. Let's check now. We have put that into the scan mode. Hmm. Mhm. So the secure connection is required, and we cannot set it to none. Or let's try the other option. It's all about firewall only. Yeah, that's true. Because it's been disabled by the Wonderbots stuff. No. Okay, I hope that you all have at least understood the concept, guys, how the solution design works, and after that, how you develop uh, the entire thing. So I hope that you all have understood this now. We saw implementation, we saw solution designing, we saw development best practices. So, what you guys uh, have to say on this? Like, are you all into a space whether where you have good confidence and good command over implementation now? You all can turn on your cameras.
Yep.
Let's
Yes, Sagar.
discuss.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, when you started this internship program, and till today, it's like almost 2 weeks we have passed. So, in 2 weeks, I hope that you have gained a lot of knowledge and you have got a really good idea on project implementation, which is very difficult to get from any other sources. So, what is your experience on this? Anyone can tell experience like Sushant, you can tell, Shashikant, you can tell, because I have seen Balaji, Jitendra, Anjana, Rajneesh, they all speak, they all post content also. But you people, I have not seen you people more active in the internship program also and on the LinkedIn also. So needed some involvement from you people also.
Yes, by doing this internship, I have gained practical experience on UiPath frameworks. So it is very new for me. So I have around 5 months experience only. So by doing this internship, I have gained more insights about how UiPath works and the process understanding which you took yesterday. Now only I understood how UiPath. Uh, how the project has to be planned. So yes, it was a very good experience, and I have gained a knowledge, much more knowledge.
That is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think more things are coming ahead. You are yet to get involved in actual projects, so you will get good learning over there also.
Yes.
Shashikant,
Sir, before that, 2 months ago, I am not aware of all these things. So one day I meet Vivek sir here. So
hmm.
I get about all these things and I start working on it. So now I am understanding how to implement this all these things in a correct way. It's all new
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, it's new, but you are getting all the right things in place at
Yeah,
even though it's
yes,
new.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Shantini, what about you?
Hi,
See,
sir. Yeah,
yes, yes.
I've just learned about the developer foundations in core, so which is actually not so practical. It's actually more of theory, right? We'll not be able to practice more in that. So I was just scrolling down, seeing that select task. Okay, this is select task. This is going to be for each and loop and all. But after coming into this internship only, I had a deeper knowledge of what we will do about that. So building automations and that first one confirm ticket was actually so interesting for me. After that, I'm so interested in learning more and more from yesterday's session and today's session. So I hope I'll be doing better than this.
Yes, yes, definitely. I think you all are doing it really good, and your involvement is, really enthusiastic and energetic, and participation is also good. At this point, also, you people are awake and working together with me on this. So yeah, it's always a great energy from you all. Sarvesh, what about you?
Yeah, so hi everyone, hi Sagar. So just when we say this is how UiPath works, when we are explaining to someone, right? So me being a champion of UiPath, when I just approach my juniors and say UiPath works like this, UiPath works like this, I just say that no, like not too much in detail. Just say if you do this, this will work. We never know how the process works and the detailation of the entire thing, how that from point A to point B that thing goes. But as Sanjana said, the process class you took, session you took yesterday and today, it was like something eye-opener. Okay, this is how the stuff goes. It's not like just boom here and bam there. It's like this is how it goes from step to step. So it was really good. Since I have a bit of knowledge and some experience in UiPath, so other stuff were fine, but this how to plan a project, how to approach it step by step, how to make it time efficient. The thing you told, no, like all these different process. If you do one after other, it will take 20 days time. But if you do simultaneously, it will take around 5 days a time. So these are the things where you can only learn these from an experienced people or someone who does this regularly. You just can't find these kind of data in online. They just don't say those kinds of things. So this is kind of things we learn from the experienced one or from the person who does it regularly or in a very much better way. So these are the things I would love to learn, and I'm really happy that I was able to come inside this internship, and I hope I'll be learning a lot from this.
Yeah, definitely. I think at this is just a beginning. This is just, to make you aware of the things. Now, when you, Owen, will work on all these things and create all these plans and designs and PDDs and SDDs, you will enjoy it more, and you will have a great hands-on session coming ahead. So, it's going to be more and more fun and enjoying from here, from this onwards. So in the coming time, we are going to have a meeting with business users. So you have to wake up BA inside you to ask the questions to them and note down all the points and processes and everything. Okay, so that is going to come. Thanks, Sarvesh. I would like to see this as content on LinkedIn. What your experience is and how you learn different things
Yes,
from
yes.
Shantini also.
We'll be
That will
talking
be
about
really
this.
helpful, and people will also know that you are also now aware of this. So will be good. Rajnish, you wanted to say something.
So, sir, adding to that, I was saying that I have experienced that apart from knowing things, what you can do in UI path and all, that is fine. But I've understood the importance of following a blueprint before you start any process, no matter how small it is. And I've also understood the importance of fragmentations because what I did is first I blindly started doing any process. I put it into a sequence, and when it got bigger and bigger, it got complex for me to understand what I did previously. So in the four use cases also which I have built as part of this internship, I followed fragmentation, and before building the process, I used a pen and paper to see where my workflow will go, where my variables or arguments will pass. So I would say this is the key concept which I have learned from the UN as this internship as well.
Yeah, this is the key concept. This is the heart of implementation. And if you follow this, it will be a bit easy for you to keep a track and manage things totally. As you mentioned that if you keep one sequence and if you start building everything into that, it will start becoming complex and complex and complex. And at the point, it will be so huge that you yourself will find it difficult to go back and change and repair or debug or test all the things. So that is really a heart. And most importantly, when you follow all these things, you are not going to work on this process for all the time. You are going to give it to someone to support or to modify or to change or to update. And at that moment, when they see such a well built process, it will be easy for them to handle and do all these things, which is generally not followed in RP industry. And that is why major processes fails and their repairing or maintenance or scaling is very difficult. Trust me. I've seen bigger companies, they are not following standards, and then it's difficult for organization to cope up with RPA, and then RP is getting blamed for not having the good implementation. So we don't want to do that. Yeah, Shashikant, you want to say something? You're on mute.
Yes, sir. I just started, and let's. I'm doing my best, and I hope I will get more opportunity.
Yes, everyone is beginner initially, right? Yeah, just to share my experience, when I started learning UiPath, I took so much of time just to understand arguments. And I was like, why the hell they have arguments? They have variables which stores
So
the data. Why do they have
same
arguments?
problem with me, sir. How to pass the
Why
argument?
they need argument? And I was not able to understand how to use these arguments. But eventually, by practicing more and more and more, I understood it, and I got my concept clear with that.
So
So yeah, more and more hands-on.
I start watching YouTube some videos and got
When
more.
when I started learning UiPath, there were no videos of anyone except UiPath Academy. That was also on the basic level. So it was challenging, but that's what we are trying to do for you. You get all the best possible knowledge and experience that you can, so that you take that flight, you just fly high on the beginning itself. Okay, anything else from anyone, guys? Anyone wants to add anything before we conclude today's session?
Sir, I guess Shashank was saying something in the beginning, but he was on mute.
Sushant, what you were saying?
No, I said everything what I wanted to say. So I'm practicing on the use cases for more uh, hands-on. So it will
Okay,
take time.
fine, absolutely fine. So tomorrow we will have a session on process definition document and solution design document, how to create these two documentation. That will be the main agenda. And then we can have a queries and a resolution session. But what I want is take any process, whether it's a ACME process or a yearly report process or a Bliss demo process or any process that you want, and just create a solution design of that. Will that be fine?
Yes.
Try practicing it.
Yes, Sagar.
Okay. Let me stop the recording.